The G Wade Podcast with Deacon Dirty.
And you just mentioned, you ready to do something regarding it. So let me ask you this about, and I'm sure you've heard of it. I just recently took it just for the fun of it. That love language test.
Yes.
How does that merge or morph in or ease into what you do? Is that something you like?
Honestly, I have my own version of that through a self-love language test. I do agree with the love languages. I think that they are spot on, but here's what I actually think on a deeper level. Now that I've been doing more of this self-love work.
Gotcha.
I've realized that the self-love languages are a great indicator of where your strengths are, right? Mm-hmm. Things that you can accept, things that you appreciate, things that you value, the ways that you give things out. But I think its biggest challenge is that it doesn't encourage you to learn to appreciate the other styles just as much, right?
Right.
So just because you appreciate more gifts doesn't mean someone giving you time is a bad thing.
Thank you. Right? Absolutely.
So it shows you where your areas of weakness really are. That's what I use it for now when I have clients do the test, because it's still free and it's out there. I have them do the test so that they can identify more what's easy for them.
Okay.
Right. So we don't have to talk about those things. I don't need to talk about you giving gifts because you're naturally a gift giver. So that's something we don't need to talk about. But now I know that when it comes to words of affirmation, those things don't hit you. Why don't words of affirmation impact you? Mm-hmm. What was going on when you were growing up that words of affirmation, you didn't get enough of them, or you got them in the wrong way, you got them from the wrong people? What is it? And it always works. It always comes out that the areas where we don't receive things are the areas where we can't give things. Mm-hmm. It's normally some trauma, some issue, some deficiency or neglect that happened early on that causes us to be that way.
Well, you know what, for full transparency right here, I will agree with that 100%. And the reason why is because when I took the test, I joked because I laughed, as when the rankings came out.
Yeah.
And for me, touch was 0 or whatever, feel or whatever that thing was.
Yes.
But number one was receiving gifts, high on the list.
Yeah.
And I laughed, but at the same time I said, but it seemed like the test, and maybe it was just more, the algorithms were moving it, but it seemed like the test was pitting two things against each other. In other words, do you like to give? Do you like to receive stuff, or you prefer people to rub you on the back?
Yes.
And so if you look at the two things for me personally, I like to receive stuff. Yeah. I don't care to be rubbed on the back. You know what I'm saying? So if you keep pitting those questions up to each other, it's going to always be a big divide. So I laughed about that, but at the same time, I had to look at it and say, but it's true.
But it's true.
But it's true.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're spot on.
Yeah, it's the test itself. I have proven that it works, and that it really does speak to where people are. Mm-hmm. It's long enough, and it has enough questions that, like you said, pit two things against each other to really come out with a substantial answer. Mm-hmm. But also, it really does speak to more of what it is that, like you said, if you really don't care about touch as much, then your natural response will be to not select that versus anything, right?
Right,
anything.
Absolutely.
So hence you get 0. But then it's like, okay, well, why not touch? Because when I study, I study people too. And so like one of the people I study is Oprah. When she had her show, the Oprah Winfrey Show, she would, with guests, touch them all the time. It would be a hand on the back. It would be a reach in, lean in. It would be, because human nature is that touch is actually very, very, without sexual intimacy, still touch by itself speaks to connection and connectivity. Mm-hmm. So the absence of touch says that I don't need or desire the connectivity of human touch so much. Now, we are noticing statistically that more people are selecting 0 on physical because of technology. So it could be there's more of a technological leaning that you have versus, wanting to be with and around people in that sense, that you're
Yeah.
sometimes maybe being a little safer when it comes to connections and not being heard and all those kind of things with physical touch, because physical touch says intimacy, it says closeness, it says connected.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. That's spot on. Now, so dating, folks out there dating, we out
Yes.
here dating or whatever. What should, and I know, I guess it still all boils down to self-love, but in dating, what should one, male or female, male and female, should be looking for? What's the expectations in dating? I know I see a lot of posts now, I'm dating for marriage or something like that. While I guess some may be discovery of self, but
Yeah.
what do you think people should be expecting during dating or looking for?
So this is one of the things when we talked earlier about the church. This is one of the things that really created bad time for people in the dating world, because you're taught that you're not supposed to date often, or you're a hoe or a slut or other things like that. When in reality, you want to date as often as you have time to do so, time and energy. If you have the time and the energy and sometimes the resources financially to do so, do as much of it as you can. Because for me, again, as I mentioned earlier, the dating phase is all about you getting to know what you want and need. So the more you date, the more you have a better picture, a clearer picture of what it is that fits you. You know better where you want to go, who you want to go with, what they should look like. You know better what type of style you like. My people that say, oh, I don't really have a type, that means you haven't dated enough. I can tell you haven't dated enough when you say, I don't have a type. And that's the safe answer of, oh, I just like people for who they are. But that's all BS. I'm telling you now, that's all BS, because everybody has a preference.
Right.
If I said, hey, do you prefer the beach or the mountains? Most people would say one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
If I said, hey, would you prefer very hot or very cold? Most people would be like, I like the one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
If you said red or blue, most people would say one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are creatures who like preferences. We
Mm-hmm.
have preferences. We should have preferences, because it helps us find more fulfillment, be happier, whatever is more in tune with who we are. So
Right.
for the people that give me that crappy answer of, oh, I like all types, yeah, that's cute, but that means you really haven't done your homework. See, so when I was in class, especially English class, when you could read something, kind of BS it because you had the cliff notes.
Mm-hmm.
I had those teachers that they knew the cliff notes were out there, and so they would ask questions that weren't in the cliff notes.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people out there are doing cliff notes on their dating, right? They're like, oh, I like nice people. That's in the cliff notes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like people that are funny. That's in the cliff notes.
Mm-hmm.
So funny about what?
Funny
What
about
type
what?
of humor? Are they goofy funny? Are they like Chris Rock funny? Are they, what type of funny?
Right.
Knowing I like people that aren't too short. Well, what's too short? Is it 5'9"? Is it 5'10"? Is it 5'8"? Is it 4'9"? Because too short is too short depending on what you want. So you can't have the cliff notes when it comes to dating, because you will end up selecting something or someone that is not fitting you ultimately, and you act like you didn't know it wasn't coming, but actually every part of you knew that it wasn't associated with what you really wanted in the first place. But because you didn't do your homework the way you were supposed to, you end up saying yes and getting stuck when you should have said no.
Now, I know you sat down with many of people, couples, married or just dating, the dating might be easier. So let's go to the marriage side.
Sure. Yeah.
Where I don't, whether you talk to them or counsel them together or separately, has there been a moment where you're looking at them or thinking in your mind like, ooh, they should have never, this shouldn't be the thing here. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I can easily, and I'm very honest with people about this too. Okay. And this is why I'm a coach and not a therapist or a counselor. A therapist or a counselor typically would not tell you, this isn't going to work and this, all that. But I'm a coach, and I'll tell you if it's wrong, it's not right. But when I'm saying it, it's not so that people break up. It's so that they're very aware that they have greater challenges than maybe a couple that chose better would have. And that it can still work, because much of love and relationships is about decision making. It's about making a decision and sticking with it. It's about accepting, again, going back to acceptance, accepting things as they are, accepting what you can change and what you can't, certain aspects of a person you'll never change, and understanding why things are important to you. So like for a couple that are just naturally arguing that one person likes to go out, the other person doesn't, then why does it bother you that they do? So why does it bother you? You're not the one, they're not asking you to go out.
Right.
So why is it bothering you that they do, right? So that kind of personal work again, but also asking you knew they went out before, you went out with them before. So what's the problem now? You know, like, so what's changed? Normally like some infidelity or some trust issues. And so getting back to the stuff that really matters. But again, it's all about choices, and it's about sticking with the choice that you make. Look, we've all made bad choices with jobs. We've made bad choices with eating habits, you know, that late night, the Wendy's pull up, McDonald's pull up that you know you shouldn't have been doing. That Waffle House order that you were just like, I need it. We've all had those, and we live with them. And there comes a point where your body either accepts it and it processes well, or it does not and it rejects it, right? And learning what your body needs most, what your love life needs most is either rejection or embracing something for what it is and moving forward.